Race Relations in Northern Ireland, Past, Present and Future. An MME Matters video and podcast series from the Migrant and Minority Ethnic Think Tank. Part 5. Opening Spaces. With Nandi Jola, Leo Brown and Tunde Adeosun. Presented by me, Maurice McCartney.
Hi, my name is Leo Brown. So a bit of my background would be I've been brought up in Northern Ireland. I'm 20 years old. So I've been living in Northern Ireland for 17 years now. I've moved away for 3. Grew up, played for all the football youth systems, played for Northern Ireland up to under 19s. I have a lot of experience in football. I've done coaching when I was in England, got my coaching badges. So I'd say I'm a pretty active member in the Northern Ireland community as a whole in terms of representation.
I'm Nandi Jola. I'm originally from South Africa and I came to live in Northern Ireland in 2001. I'm currently a full-time student after I've worked in the arts for almost 20 years. I'm now back doing my master's in poetry, and alongside my own work, which is poetry, which I've already published. So I think it's good for my CV. Was I'm looking to teach creative writing at tertiary level, which is in university level.
So my name is Tunde Adeosun. I'm an accountant by profession, and I have my own practice in East Belfast, City East Business Centre. I've been on my own for the last 10, 11 years that I've been practicing. I'm originally from Nigeria in West Africa.
Yeah, I always tell people that I came here without knowing where Northern Ireland was. It was just an opportunistic moment where it was available in terms of getting a work permit to come here. So I wasn't an asylum seeker or refugee, but I was just an economic migrant. And part of me thought, what could I lose? I was young, probably naive, probably stupid, but I didn't care. All those ingredients put together were good for me because I'm quite, a proactive person anyway. So I knew I would be doing something I enjoyed anywhere in the world. I had writing with me. So I came to Northern Ireland, and fortunate enough or unfortunate enough, things didn't work out as I planned. But because I had the writing, I could even tell about the unfortunate circumstances in my writing. So I find that very useful to have had something as a tool that I could always bring with me. It's like like a craftsman. If you can build a house, you can live anywhere in the world. Same with poetry or writing. If you can write, you can live anywhere in the world, even in the wilderness.
I'd say, from growing up, again, for me, it was predominantly white, early 2000s. I'm pretty sure me and my brother were one of the very few. Me and him were only 2 black people in our year. There was a few Filipino. Was quite popular. I mean popular, isn't it? Was there was a few of them there. It wasn't, but and just generally up my street, anywhere I went, my football team all white. But now I think it was more towards 2013, 2014. I sort of noticed there was a lot more when I went into town. I see a lot. We have this thing where we generally talk to each other or nod our heads and things like that. So, and then it was when I came back actually in 2019, I was walking down Bangor, and I saw this guy, and I was like, I've never seen you, but what are you doing here? do you know what I mean? It's it got to a point where I was like, yeah, I was like, Mom, who are all these people? Where do they come from? And when did they come here? Because Bangor in particular, I didn't know really anyone that was even mixed race from Bangor. I know one girl, Kadisha, got the train with. That was about it. So I think definitely over the last since about 2015 onwards, especially up in like Portadown, Armagh, there's a lot. I know a lot of them up there, and so it's nice to see.
I guess I read on, I think it was an interview that you had done, that in some ways you came to Northern Ireland from South Africa, and in some ways there were some similarities in terms of sort of post-conflict situation. Perhaps on Northern Ireland wasn't quite as big a scale, but you found there was certain similarities that reminded you of.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, the first ones that are very obvious is the imagery around Belfast and the street names and building names. You have the Mandela Hall at Queen's. You have the mural of Mandela in Falls. You also have the street names, and you have then the anti-apartheid movement, which started in the south in Duns, but it spread across north very quickly, and people boycotted South African goods in solidarity. So when you hear things like that, you cannot just think. For me personally, I don't think it's a coincidence that I'm here, and it's more of sometimes people of Northern Ireland needed to see the freedom that they helped to create in me. And I find that I'm spreading on that message that thank you for what you did. I am free today, and I'm here to tell the story that freed us.
I came to Northern Ireland in 2009.
Okay.
And I started my practice between 2010 and 11. There's this organization called the African Caribbean Chamber of Commerce, Northern Ireland, which is an independent body, but was set up based on Mr. Alfred Abolarin, who was then the manager for Axoni. Axoni seems to be like the umbrella for African and Caribbean people that are settled in Northern Ireland. And so I think he came with that project then, looking at business people and thinking what kind of help, we could get for ourselves. So this organization was launched in Stormont on the 4th of February, 2012. I think naturally, being by the kind of profession that I'm in, having my own practice and being a business advisor and consultant, tax advisor and accountant, all in one, I think was just a natural thing for me to be nominated to head the organization. So it was launched on, like I said, in February 2012 by Stephen Agnew, MLA then of the Green Party. The whole idea about the African and Caribbean Chamber of Commerce, has to do with Africans and Caribbeans that are doing business in Northern Ireland or are looking at setting up their own business in Northern Ireland, just to show that Northern Ireland is ready for them. For the fact that me, myself, and a couple of other professionals have set up their own different businesses, whether it's an African shop, whether it's a cleaning company, an accounting firm, all sorts, that means that there was confidence, in the environment for us to say, we can set up, these businesses in the community. And that way to encourage more people in our community to also come in and to get to know that they also can do the same. Because sometimes it can be that people are not sure that, if I set up a business, am I sure I'm going to make money? Is anybody going to, maybe because they think they're different or something like that, But seeing we that have gone forth and doing well, gives them the confidence to say, okay, if they can do it, then, there's nothing wrong in us also trying.
I just finished 4 creative writing projects, and I need to be editing the work as well. because I facilitated them for the anthology. So I get that I need now to have those skills.
4 anthologies altogether. That's quite a lot of editing and work to be getting on with. I guess you're pretty busy, and you also teach.
It's a good experience for me to be able to facilitate and edit, and alongside my own work, which is poetry, which I've already published. So I'm currently teaching at Alsa University in a course called Books Beyond Boundaries. It's the first one in Northern Ireland. It's teaching about Afrofuturism, which is a new concept altogether, where we imagine alternative realities for Black people.
That's fascinating and interesting because we're actually recording this during Black History Month. So you've got Black History and Afrofuturism put together. We've got a good time span there. But you've also got an interest in, you've started your own business, is that right? You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so my business partner, Emil, he's been one of my close friends since 2011, 2010, so 10, 11 years now. And he's just like a tech guru. He's like a wizard when it comes to just anything that can be built. So he's building his own boat. He's just a magician when it comes to things like that. And I always find it really interesting. I love computers and coding and things like that. I was always when I was like 8, I was always into like PowerPoints and I used to just go home and sit for like an hour or two and make a PowerPoint for my dad and mum to see. Like, I just loved it. So he got me into building computers and things like that. So I was just like, we do it for fun. Why don't we start a wee business? Because the trend is people go to big companies and buy it's called a pre-build, and they're scams, like rip-offs. They are like so bad. You can obviously get good ones, but the price you pay for something mediocre is ridiculous. And I was like, I hate seeing my friend got one. I know someone who got one the other day. He spent $1,300 on something that would have cost $800 to build. For me, it's a lot of money, like, you're losing out. So that's where we came from. So we do it together. So yeah, we have a business. We build custom PCs and we do repairs and things like that. We're starting to expand. We're going to start expanding out soon, and I think we're going to actually rebrand. Right. And because at the minute we're just sort of local. We do a lot of work with people in Bangor, County Antrim. Usually is what we get a lot of work for. We do ship to UK. We have a lot of orders. I recently did a PC for a DJ in Scotland. Gosh. Who does Coachella and things like that. So he's pretty big. His name's Sam Gallatry. Right. Did a PC for him, which was great. It was really good. That was a big project for me and Emil, because it was our first big PC that wasn't for gaming. Usually PCs generally for gaming, but it was a whole different sort of set of skills we had to use to make sure we got the PC that was right for him, to excel at what he does. So there you go. It's been a journey.
And I remember then when I was thinking of setting up, I went for the Go For It program, which helps startup people, telling them step-by-step process of setting up a business. Not too many people in my community knew about it then, but I did my research and I knew about it. So I went for it, and it was quite, in fact, I had the training at my present office, which is the East Belfast Enterprise. They did I think it was for about 3 weeks, went for the training. And the good thing was that it was a follow-through process. So it was a good program, that, from conception to actual launching of your business and continuity. I mean, it was all based all in one. So it was easy for me to transcend from having that idea in my head, going for the training, and then the follow-up, setting up the business, and then renting out somewhere, to do my practice, and constant ongoing support in terms of business growth, also coming from them. So that was quite was a good help. And because I went through that, it was easy for me to let my community know that this exists and you also can plug into the program.
From your perspective, have you seen Northern Ireland becoming more open, becoming more relaxed about diversity? What do you think? How are we doing?
Oh, the choice of words. Open. You only need a template, and the template, the most recent template is Brexit and this protocol, don't you, to measure that. And there'll always be something. It just reminds me of Toni Morrison's quote where it says, racism is just another thing, to keep you thinking about all these things. It doesn't get you anywhere. And then Audre Lorde's quote that says that I have no creative use for guilt, yours or mine. So as soon as we start talking about these things honestly and openly, we are only playing diversity. We are only doing tokenism, because where does diversity need to be? It needs to be in the decision making, so that it's representative. So I've been here 20 years. For me personally, I have seen it in me, the change that I wanted to see, because I have asked for it. And I mean, again, that comes with a knowledge of a lot of things, and sometimes English being my first language. So having no barriers when I came to Northern Ireland, straight in, and also an education, just needing to further my education. So already had a degree. So not to say that people that come here with no degree or no level of English, are not capable of doing anything. But I'm just saying sometimes it is an advantage to have that, to know how the law works and to read the law and to know when you're being discriminated and to know when something is wrong. A good example of that, I was going for an interview for an employment opportunity that I found, and I was discriminated at interview stage. And I did raise that up, and it was a health sector, and I took them to a tribunal. And I had no representation. I represented myself because I knew the law well. My degree is in human resources management, and part of that is labor law. So I told them, so I had the facts there, and I didn't need to be told otherwise because I was so sure of my knowledge in the law. So sometimes that helps when when you aware. And I would get, for example, my daughter's born here. You'll get, things in letter from the school telling you the child's hair need to be tidy. Excuse me, the child's hair is natural. It's in its natural form. So I had issues with the educational authority where I had to go and represent myself. So, yes, it comes with the knowledge of people that come here are not stupid. They have their prior, knowledge of they just need opportunities. I needed opportunities to publish. I needed opportunities to present my work. I'm not Seamus Heaney. I never claimed to be. I never will be. I don't write about the place I don't know about. But there was something in my story that people are interested in, and that's what I created for myself, that space, and I needed people to listen. So the Arts Council had a responsibility to me as an artist who's not known in Northern Ireland to say, we are willing to support you. So change, I have seen it in personal level because I've made those bold, standoff. But I'm just wondering, for somebody that is so vulnerable and even the law. I mentioned that when I came here, I came on a 5-year work permit. So somebody who's coming here who doesn't have a work permit, who's still depending on the state, who's being racially discriminated in some cases, because we know that even the immigration can be the laws can be very racist when it comes to the tiering of, for example, asylum seekers. Not all of them are equal in the law. And yes, this immigration, anti-migrant, and deportation and things like that. So how can you have a voice or stand up for yourself when you're in fear, So those are the issues for me. And then you come to education. I'm currently facilitating, there's a program that's coming up. It's called Speaking Truth to Power. And I'm one of the facilitators. And my topic is decolonizing the education. Because in Northern Ireland, we don't even have one book at GCSE or A levels that there's a Black author. And they keep thinking that To Kill a Mockingbird is diversity. It's problematic to say the least, and the language is racist. So for me, that's the issue as an artist, as a writer. I wanted to see, there's a lot of Black poets and novelists, Maori Blackman, Knots and Crosses. We have Ben Okri, we have Lam Sise, we have Nandi Jola. Come on, give us something in the curricula that is that shows diversity.
Yeah, so there's plenty to choose from. So that's one recommendation then.
Yes.
Get some of that onto the curriculum. Yeah, if you're listening, Education Minister.
I've already had a couple of meetings with the Education Authority,
Okay.
but Education Minister, now is your chance. Yes.
Okay. If let's keep that ball rolling then. What else would you want our politicians and decision makers, our ministers, what would you say? What would be your priority for them to get on with?
Integrated education would be, it's doable. Let's talk about, things that are achievable, and so, for example, we have schools for Protestants or Catholics only. What if you're a Muslim? What if you only eat halal food? Then you starve. We celebrate St. Patrick's. Let's widen the calendar, for example. We're celebrating St. Patrick's Chinese New Year, but nobody knows when Africa Week is. Do you know, Morris?
I couldn't tell you when Africa Week is, no.
Exactly. It's in May.
Okay.
So Africa Week is in May. So, for example, let's have all this in the calendar. Let's have the Chinese New Year, Africa Week. Let's have Black History Month. Let's have all the events in the one calendar, and let the schools know exactly when they are, and they can be celebrated.
Do you think the local community is growing in awareness and acceptance of
Yeah, I really would think so. I mean, for example, when I started, of course there was that thing, at the back of your mind, that will you be accepted, if someone wants to use a service or whatever, and you realize that down the line, there were some one or two incidences, that stood out. But by and large, in general, it's been fantastic. As soon as you get, you have the locals that you are doing things for, you just see how they don't care about who you are, where you come from. The most important thing is that the service or the product that that you're selling, are you selling it properly? Are you delivering the correct way? Do you do the right thing? That's what they're concerned about. So far, their work is done.
So you'd say you're optimistic about the future for African Caribbean entrepreneurs and
oh, yes.
community wealth building within
yes.
the
yes.
community.
I think somebody done a research one time. I was part of that research, and we went out to actually sample people's opinion about the different communities in Northern Ireland. And I remember we designed a questionnaire and we put it out. And there was one question there that said, if you think of a Chinese, what comes to mind? And people will say, oh, Chinese shops or Chinese takeaways.
Yeah.
If you think of the Indians, what comes to mind? So, laundry, corner shops, all this business, whatever. But the part that was interesting was when we asked the question, if you think of Black people in general, African Caribbeans, whatever, what do you think? And the first thing that comes to mind is asylum seeker.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So that shows me that the way it's, we are perceived then was like that, and I mean, that gave me the energy to go out to say, okay, look, we can change that kind of narratives.
Yeah.
And having the Chamber of Commerce was a very good way, whereby we thought that using entrepreneurs using their business, can do quite a lot in the community in terms of, getting your clients, giving back to the community also as a Black entrepreneur, things like that. That with that, you could definitely make a good change. And of course, using myself as an example and other Black entrepreneurs, at least by the time they come into contact with myself and my other colleagues that have their own business, they will go out with a good positive impression, so that in future, if anyone should say something like that beside them, they are in a good position to say no, that's not the case.
I think I think it's great at the minute. I think there's a lot of great organisations doing good work, and especially in Northern Ireland. You've got Axonian and people like that are sort of pushing it just to connect to government. They're doing big events. They're promoting their people. I think it's great.
In Northern Ireland, there tends to be a sort of discourse that is split into two opposed camps, and people sort of usually fight about those things,
Yeah.
And the idea that rather than cling to your own identity and fight for it, that there could be some sort of a bond of solidarity between different people. Maybe that's something.
Yeah. I mean, it stems from, a very popular, and people don't really understand this term, Desmond Tutu, who it was his birthday yesterday, the Archbishop. He turned 90, but he said Ubuntu. Ubuntu it means I am because you are. So I am free because the Irish people freed me. And I find that there's something I can do as well to repay. And if we can grasp that concept, because, we cannot limit ourselves when it comes to solidarity. We cannot underestimate the power of solidarity, and also the people's stories and how we, are all intertwined, and how conflict itself is sometimes an reincarnation, but sometimes it's something that is coming back to bring ourselves to the thing itself, what we don't want to face. And sometimes I find in Northern Ireland, people are afraid of what they don't know what might come out of freedom, because we have fought so much, we don't know anything else but conflict. So the prospect of not having the peace walls, for example, I have a poem that says, let us give love a chance to give our children hope of a world without hatred, where black and white walk hand in hand. Let the peace walls come down so that the ghosts of apartheid can be finally laid to rest, for peace to remain peace, And just that poem alone, people cannot understand it when I'm saying it. The peace walls can never come down, but they are not peace walls, And in apartheid South Africa, we never had walls, funny enough. So it was easy to just walk. It was easy to take the signs down, even though the mental scars are still there, but at least the spaces were open.
Throughout this series, we've looked at some of the challenges and barriers facing people of diverse ethnic and racial backgrounds in Northern Ireland, including prejudices old and new, and some more structural issues such as systematic underfunding and the hostile environment fostered by some at a high political level, with its knock-on consequences for race relations in general. But reflecting on these conversations, I'm struck by the energy, the gifts, the rich contributions, the talents, and the sheer determination brought by some of the people that I've been privileged to talk to for the series. And I'm left with a sense of hope that, to use Nandi Jola's closing words, it's still possible for us to open up spaces into which we can all learn to step together for all our differences. Spaces which, like the Strong Ford back here in Strangford where the series began, need not be seen as a gulf separating us like two shores, as much as a crossing point capable of bringing us together.
Many thanks to Nandi Jola, Leo Brown and Tunde Adeosun, and to everyone else who contributed throughout the series. Visit our website mmecouncil.org for further details, watch the series on YouTube, or subscribe to the MME Matters podcast on all the main podcast outlets.